So
Yeah.
Elon is donating nearly $6 billion to end world hunger from a headline perspective, right?
Yes.
It's a great story to write.
Well,
But
absolutely.
what is your thought on Elon Musk's big donation?
I actually love it. He has a nice heart. He's got a very clean heart. He wants to change. He's invested his whole life in like improving people, improving people's lives and all that. But the only it's not a criticism, and I'd love to work with Elon, by the way, on this. It's like, from what I've found out, again, over decades of what I've been doing, it's not about what people are doing that makes changes, that transforms people or shifts societies. It's literally about the consciousness that you're doing it that makes changes and long lasting changes. If you look at history, there's a lot of people who have donated a lot of things, a lot of money, a lot of technology, a lot of resources, a lot of whatever in a physical realm. So you would think we would be better off for that. And this is the logistics of, very successful people. The reason why people become successful or, generate a lot of money or whatever it is, again, in this case, say money or wealth, right? Is they had a great idea and all that stuff, which is fantastic. But the reason why they wanted to become successful is because they wanted to define who they are. Again, it all goes back to your own identity, right? So it's self-fulfilling, if that makes sense to you, right? It's like, why do I want to become successful? And people go, well, I want to save the world. No, you don't. And I've proved this over and over again. Highly successful individuals, they come to me and, they've got the greatest ideas and so on like that, but they work with me and then they have no desire or no passion for whatever they're doing. And, I've looked into this and I'm going, God, why would that be? Why did they lose their passion? They were just so great. But their passion does come back in a very different way. So in the past, why they would say go towards an endeavor is because they would want to, like, if I do X, or if I say complete X, or if I accomplish X, whatever it is, or conquer X, because a lot of people like countries, right? A lot of kings or whatever. I want to conquer this and then I'll be satisfied. Or I want to conquer this person and then I'll be satisfied. But in a very short term, what you'll find is that it's not enough. So why is it enough? The reason why it's not enough is because whenever you decide to do something for that reason, the underlying reason is that if I did X, I'm going to find who I really am on the inside. But since success is a magnifier, we start to see that, gosh, this didn't really do it for me. So I'll do bigger and better goals, right? I'll do bigger and better goals. I'll get bigger and I want more money. There's billionaires that I work with and it's like, yeah, if I make another billion, then I'll be set. And again, it's not about the billions. You can make as much money as you want, or you can make there's people on the flip side, like Mother Teresa and so on like that. She did a lot of philanthropy. She got into the same boat. So why didn't, say, that escalate? And why aren't there, say, better people off? And again, I'm not saying they're not better people, but it usually doesn't, say, progress or evolve into the next generation. They just help, say, the current generation they're in. But the key is, if you change consciousness or evolve consciousness and you do whatever you're doing in a different consciousness, you evolve, and then it helps generation after generation after generation, rather than stopping just at one generation.
Let's say you have people who,
Yeah.
want to do good for the world.
Yes.
Is it dependent on what is the driving reason behind their desire to want to do that? So I think about, let's just say, somebody who's, really rich and they're like, I want to donate all this money because ultimately inside of themselves, they really want to have that hospital wing named after them.
Yeah. And
They don't say that, but
they don't,
that's really
absolutely.
what's underlying that.
If you look at scripture, and again, I'm not a religious person in the normal sense. I do believe in religions. They're really fantastic. But if you want to get the same outcome as, Jesus, a Buddha, or Muhammad, you'd want to practice, very similar to them, right? That's why we're not getting the same outcome as those three, although, there's billions that practice those religions. The reason why is because they're doing it at a different consciousness. People follow their activities. They might pray 5 times a day. They might go to church every Sunday, and they might go, well, I'm doing all this, But why isn't my life getting any better? And why isn't my family's life isn't getting any better? Because they did all that stuff in another, say, consciousness or in another frequency. Let's just put it that way. Okay. Just to make it simple. So it's not what you do. It's not how you do it. It literally is, what consciousness level are you doing it at? Again, it's not about the level of wealth. I just want to get this across. Let's forget the billionaire. Let's just focus in on you, and you get a, not you, but, the single individual. Say that you have a relationship. If I get into this relationship, I'm going to be really happy and settled. Right? Or if I get this job, I'm going to be really happy and settled. But then do you notice in a very short time, you're not happy and settled? So you get another job with more money, or you get another person, you know what I mean? And it happens, the trend happens over and over again. So you just extrapolate that to, those individuals. I make a couple 100 million, I'm going to donate so much, and then I'll be satisfied or help more people, because that's what this society dictates. The more people you help, the more, say, beneficial it'll be for you. But again, in that paradigm, you're helping for your own, say, selfish reasons. But the underlying frequency is, again, you want to connect to your limitless self. That's why you do anything that you do. No matter what you're doing, it's all for the purpose of you connecting and understanding your oneness or your limitless potential. I call it being singular, or singularity, by the way. That's all that you're doing. So if I do more, because that's what society dictates, if I do more, then I'll feel really connected. Okay? So back to, say, the person that's lost the passion. The key is with that is that they start going inwards, and they feel the infinite being that they are. Literally, they feel the expansiveness that they are, that we all know. Yoda was talking about it, right? What is it? The force within, the power within. I mean, there's so many different, say, definitions of that, but we all have that. So you go inwards with the work that I do, exponential intelligence, and then you find that power within. And then your money, your wealth, your donations become a reflection of how grand you are on the inside. So when you hand out, when you donate that food or that dollar bill, to, the people living on the streets, or when you're handing out 5.7 billion, that frequency of what you handed out has your frequency. And it's a very pure frequency, because you're sending out, say, completeness. That's what the world needs, is oneness and completeness.
I just want to ask you about Elon Musk then in particular. Mm-hmm. Do you think that what's driving that is ego driven, or is it on the right consciousness level?
It's not necessarily ego driven, although there is obviously ego for people at that level, so that's just a given. But ego, there's nothing wrong with ego if you're doing it the XI way. So again, where you're a grand being, and you're not like, hey, I'm this grand being and you're nothing. It's not about that. Ego in that sense is like, hey, I'm this grand being, and you're this grand being too. So that's the difference in ego. But that's a side note. But yeah, so Elon, in just reading him, and I can read anybody, by the way, he actually does it from a pure heart. But at a deeper level, just reading Elon, he's very incomplete. So much so, and I don't know much about him. I don't read, a lot of stuff on him. But it almost seems like he has his kids that are really highly important to them, because his kids keep him in, say, a close, say, gap of realities. If he didn't, he'd start to, say, separate and dismantle himself. So in an underlying purpose, he literally is trying to, say, keep himself or put himself together and stay that way, stay intact. By the way, that's how 7 relationships. Yeah, he's had 7 relationships. Yeah. So that's why he has to keep changing, say, relationships, because again, that relationship is young and vital, and again puts him in time. But then over time, that effect fades. I can literally help him stay in focus, and then he can inner expand, like I said. And then when he does donate, it's from a pure level. But again, of all the people he does have a good heart, and there is ego involved. It's like, the UN or whatever, hasn't solved hunger. in all this time, right? It's like, shit, I'm going to go do it by donating money. But again, those donations will just recycle what we just talked about. It's not about helping other people. It's about, reclaiming or going to another consciousness where you help.
My husband and I were having breakfast yesterday, actually, and we were talking about in 1985. Remember the
Yes.
big Live Aid concert?
Oh,
Do you remember that?
absolutely.
Like back in 1985.
Yep.
But our point was that as we were discussing this, we were saying, whatever happened, like whatever good came of that? Whatever happened, like the Live Aid and all these people came together and everybody was like, yay, and people were flying cross continental and they were doing all these things. Did that ever have any kind of impact on world hunger or the goal that they'd set out?
Yeah, it does. And I guess the best analogy would be, you're dying of, say, a tumor, okay? And then you give that person food or whatever else, and they feel good for a little bit, but they still have that tumor. So they're going to die no matter how good you treat them, right? You move them to, a 10-star hotel like in Dubai, they're still going to die. They still have that tumor. Society as a whole, their human consciousness has this tumor. So that's what I'm talking about. You can throw as much money as you want. You have to get rid of the tumor. It's literally that simple. So will it make an impact? Sure, it'll make a lot of people comfortable. It'll feed a lot of people. But then why does it keep regenerating more people that need help? Have you ever noticed that? There's more and more people. The more help that you throw at them, the more and more they need help. So again, we have to end that pattern of helping people in that way. Another pattern that people do, or philanthropists do, maybe Tony Robbins, is that he's got such willpower and he's such a big person. He can basically go, well, I'm going to carry the burdens of all these people, and they're going to feel better. But that's very detrimental because again, how much burdens of people can you handle before it destroys your health, hence his health? Say not the best, no matter what he tries. And then the other aspect is that those individuals will create more burdens because he didn't show them how to say let go of those burdens. Again, it's like here's a fish. It's like, well, I want more fish. What am I going to do tomorrow, right? So it's the same thing. Again, I'm not saying don't help people. I'm just saying awaken yourself as you help people. And if you don't believe me, there's tons of, there's science behind it. I'm not here to explain that. I can do that in a lecture series for you, the logistics. But there's a lot of religious quotations. When you're tithing, when you're donating, right? Don't do it for selfish reasons. Like, hey, if I donate, because a lot of people right now, it's like, if I donate, I'm going to get 10 times back. So they calculate, like I'll donate 100 bucks, and then I'm going to get 10 times that back, 10 grand back. Those kind of attitude, or if I donate, it's going to make me feel good. Again, just donate to donate and help that person with you being like neutral. So if you want to be part of the solution and really help the world and really be, say, philanthropic, whether you're donating 7 billion dollars or $1, you want to be, say, the purest possible self that you can be. Right? So one, why are you doing it? And I'm not saying don't donate until you're healed, but I'm just saying as you donate, what are you looking for on the inside? Okay? And then instead of, because what's happening at an intrinsic value or frequency level is that what's happening is that when you're donating, you're giving your burdens to that person that needs help. And it burdens them, by the way. So what you want to do is like, hey, why am I giving this person the dollar? Is it there to make me feel good? And if it is, it's like, oh yeah, it's there to make me feel good. And then you disconnect that burden of them making you feel good. You just feel good and you're just giving them the dollar. So it's very important you're conscious or how you see things. So you understand why you're donating, and then when you donate, you're not trying to heal yourself as you donate because you're putting their burden on that person that you're donating. The other aspect of it is, again, notice your intrinsic or your inner self of who you are. And again, do you carry other people's burden for you to feel better? Because when you're donating, and if that's the pattern that you're running, you're exchanging that dollar for their burdens.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
It makes
exactly.
me think about how maybe Elon Musk couldn't possibly donate $5.7 billion without the press knowing. But But when people are donating money, and so it's like a random act of kindness, and they just
Mhm.
do something nice for somebody and just keep it to themselves. They're
Yes.
not advertising it. They're not publicizing it.
Yeah.
You know, I wonder if that's a telltale sign.
It is a telltale sign, absolutely. But the reason, well, why are you advertising to the public? Is it to make you feel good and go, hey guys, look, I'm a good person. I'm a really good person. Honest, look what I just did. So is that the reason why you're doing it? Or if you advertise like that, it's like, hey, you know what? I donated X amount of money, and it's like, and it propagates people to say open up and give more donations to people. That makes sense to you? So if you're doing it for that reason, it's like, hey guys, you know what? I donated X amount of money. Let's go help people out. You should donate X amount of money or whatever too. And it propagates, again, whatever disaster relief. I think that's a great way to do it. You advertise. But if you're doing it for your own ego or to make you feel better, healthier, whatever it is, it doesn't really work out well. And again, it doesn't help them, whoever is getting the donations. It doesn't help you.